All right, today we are talking about a subject that is, woo, not common, but very necessary. And when we talk about leadership, everybody wants to be out in the front. Everyone wants to do the limelight, but no, well, not a lot of people want to do the real work. This is what I call doing the work, the work being therapy. And I'm going to talk about going beyond the bias, why I went to therapy. Woo! I said I wasn't going to talk about this subject until I actually got healed or overcame a few things in my life. And, it's so funny though, because we spend so much money, so much time, so much effort on so many things that we feel are important. And I was convicted beyond measure about the amount of investments I make in other things, wide investments, right, into other things, but could not quite make the investment into what I needed to make sure that I was a better person. But for some time now, I have I've been free. I've been free. And let me preface this by saying I am a preacher, a pastor. I am a woman of faith, but I believe it's not Jesus plus therapy, it's Jesus through therapy. And if the heretics or the Pharisees or whomever want to come after me, then by all means, that's fine. But this is going to be my session on why I went to therapy and why I feel that leaders should go to therapy. I was very charged, right, by a sermon that my pastor preached on therapy. And I am hoping that it would be the case that we would not just talk about this, right? We wouldn't be people of faith who just say these things, but we would be people of faith who actually do these things. So let's get into it. Getting beyond the bias. Woo, biases. That's not all it sent me to therapy, but that was a portion of it, because there were so many things that I was taught as a child, not bad things, actually good things. I would say that I come from good stock. Was my childhood perfect? No. Is anyone's life perfect? No. But so many things that I was on the right track. I pretty much would say that my family helped me do the things that they were supposed to do. And those very things were the main reasons that sent me to therapy, because when I got into the real world, those were the things that people rejected. And that was very difficult for me. So let's get into it, because I was tired of trying to figure things out on my own. Growing up in church, we all know perfection is praised. People just feel like you're supposed to be this perfect person, but it also was paralyzing. I was sick of it, and it turned me into a teenager who just kept saying, I don't care. It wasn't in a negative sense, like I was a rebellious teenager. I actually was a pretty good teenager, because I've spent most of my time in ministry, but that doesn't make you a good teenager. But I was on the right track. I was, in not sports, but I was in extracurricular activities, went to a really good, private school, all these things. My folks made the investment, and I had my head on straight. But as it pertains to this whole like trying to be this perfect church person wearing the right things and all of this, I just stopped like really caring, because I was just like, I'm not gonna fit into this mode. And I just don't care. I don't care, because I can't. And to this day, I still somewhat have some of that, not in a sense of being disrespectful, but being myself is very important, and showing up as my full self. And I didn't recognize how much that was going to make people, not hate me, but I didn't recognize how much that was going to make people feel some type of way, So anyway, let's get into it. Therapy didn't just free me. It exposed how much people benefit from you being bound. And it's not about people, right? But it just exposed so much for me. And I now in church, I don't shout because I'm trying to get better, right? I shout because I feel better. I feel that God has done something in my life where I no longer feel shackled, right? I no longer feel like I am in a cycle. And here is the greatest thing about this all is that I went to therapy because I literally said to myself, I'm not passing this down to my children. I'm not passing it down to my children's children. And I have not met any of them yet. But just as I am doing financially for my children and my children's children who I have not met yet, I ain't even met their daddy yet. But guess what? No, maybe I have met the daddy. I don't know. Who knows? But anyway, just as I am doing for them financially and making decisions about them every day, I wake up. I'm like, hey, there are two entities that I think about. You cannot embarrass yourself. Maybe three. You cannot embarrass yourself. You can't embarrass the place that you work for. You can't embarrass the future children that's gonna come your way because they gonna see everything. It's all online, right? And so, and certainly God, right? But the same preparation that I'm making there is the same preparation that I want to do mentally, right? I don't want to pass down generational curses. I don't want to pass down these weights, right? And so here's the thing. The first point is perfection cannot become our prison, right? Pressure to appear being put together can become a spiritual stronghold. And what I've realized, y'all, is that this perfection to be put together, it really is it bounds you. It binds you. In church, sometimes we are trying to be so put together and we're pompous and prime and we're looking at people up and down. And do you know, as a pastor, people will look me up and down and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like if I were someone who were just coming here as a parishioner, I wouldn't no. It's not good. So this whole thing of trying to be perfect and not being true, it is not a part of covenant community. And I don't believe that's what Jesus really intended for the church to be. I believe Jesus intended for it to be a hospital, a place where we can actually bleed and people actually help sew us back together, knowing that one day you may be the person that's bleeding and need to be sewn back together as well. So it's like growing up in church, it taught me about excellence, but it was often at the expense of emotional honesty. And the sad part is I never want someone to be around my space or to be in my orbit or in any orbit, right? Where you don't have emotional honesty, where you're not able to tell, hey, I'm tired. Hey, I don't really want to be here. Hey, I need to sit out today. I'm not able to, just because everyone is feeling like this is great, this is awesome. Yeah, it really is. But there are moments where you literally just want to take a break. And this perfectionism, it can turn into apathy because you feel like you can never fail. And some people, unfortunately, they just stop caring altogether. But here's the thing that I wrote down. Perfection taught me how to perform, but it did not teach me how to process. And that is the thing that I learned through therapy. You have to learn how to process these things. Now, I can process a lot of things, right? I can process how to make graphs, how to make charts. I can process money. I can process how to invest. I can process how to write. I can process all kinds of administrative, educational things, financial things. But sometimes when we are trying to process emotional wounds or emotional things that we have not talked about, then you need someone to help you do that, okay? But here's the second point, right? People benefit from your brokenness. I didn't realize that was a thing because I didn't feel like I didn't go because I was like super broken. I'm like, oh no, nothing's broken. Remember I said that in the beginning? I didn't go because I was broken. Here's the thing. I didn't know. I did not know. You just don't know. Sometimes the version of you people celebrate is the one that it serves their comfort, not your calling. The version of you that people sometimes celebrate serves their comfort and not your calling. Oh, when I was Mrs. Nice, nice, I was the best thing smoking. But the moment I started walking in my calling, oh yeah, woo. I all of a sudden, my calling was on trial. Was I really called? Was I not? Was I a snake? Was I don't really know. But the thing is, people want you to be in their comfort orbit even when they're not comfortable to you. So you got to get free from that. And here was the hard part for me. I'm getting ready to help somebody. Being young, educated, and a woman, it wasn't even a problem for me. Like, that wasn't a thing because that was what I was supposed to do. It was what I desired to do. I wanted to make sure that the investment that God had put into me flourished. I could show you things at Hampton that I did that has evolved into what God is calling me to do now, even from the leadership space to the, all kind of things. I did a presentation the other day at Propel. I kind of show you the symmetry. I could show you all of that, but it's null and void. You want to know why? Because when I realized that those three things were the main things that people preferred me to be smaller. People would prefer you to be much smaller than you really are. And when you are small and you fit into whatever type of baggage that they have, catch that. When you are small enough to fit into their baggage of insecurity, their baggage of needing affirmation, their baggage of wanting to be whatever they want to be, their baggage of questioning not you but others around. When you are small enough to fit in their baggage, all is well. But the moment you are no longer small enough, you better get ready. Because it ain't nothing. Here's the thing. The bag, they'll never say that the bag is the problem. You have outgrown the bag. The bag, all of a sudden, they don't sell extra large bags for you to fit in. They only sell extra small, whereby you have now grown out of them. And that is problematic. Because clearly, their bag supersedes what God is doing in your life. I'm being facetious, but you understand. People like nice, they like humble, they like agreeable. That's their favorite. They like that. You want to know why? Because it's comfortable. It's amicable. And especially when you're in a certain geographical area, I realized that people aren't used to a confident and kind person. There is a suspicion around a genuinely confident and kind person, as if the two cannot genuinely coexist. I grew up around confident and kind. The two genuinely coexist. I could not understand why that was not the case. But you know what my therapist had to tell me? That it was not the fact that was null and void. It was the fact that when you show up, you cannot control how people see you. You can't control that. You'll get thousands of gray hairs. The Bible said that the Lord knows how he numbered the hairs on your head. I don't know how many are on there, but I could conclude that there will be thousands upon thousands of gray hairs trying to figure out why people feel the way they feel when you show up. And here's the thing. You can never do enough to make them feel good about you when they are married to the idea they have about you. You need to stop it. Go get you a therapist so you can get out of that. Lord have mercy. I'm getting excited. Number 3, freedom has a different face. Woo! Healing doesn't always look like shouting, I'm free. I realize that sometimes it looks like saying no without guilt. Like just flat out no. When I was the person who literally, people were saying certain things to me and I'm like, hey, I never said no in a disrespectful way because that's not in my character. I'm not that kind of person. But when I begin to, push on certain things in my personal life and in various ways, when I begin to, that's when it was a problem. And therapy didn't make me rebellious. It made me real. And it was very difficult for me because I didn't recognize as I was coming into adulthood how fake the world was. I'm like, bruh, can we all just be real for one moment? We just all living in a fantasy. And the moment you say, hey, this is the real facts. This is where we are. This is the realness. This is the temperature. This is, God forbid you go get some data. This is the real. We don't even live in a real society. How you think people gonna be real about how they even feel about you? You gotta get free. Because freedom, the face of freedom, it doesn't make you harder to deal with. It makes you harder to misuse. You can't be misused. People can't, with the little things that they would do, people do things on purpose. Everything that they do, people don't just make mistakes are real. We all make them. But sometimes the things that people do are on purpose. You are the one that's you're always doing it. That's on purpose. I'm not harder to deal with. You just can't misuse me like you used to. I'm sorry. And then here's the thing that you got to realize. They will get upset at the fact that you can't be misused, that they can't talk to you any kind of way, that you actually push back when they say crazy stuff. Like, am I supposed to be a punching bag? The Lord didn't make me as if the Lord wanted me to be a punching bag, I just would have been a punching bag. But that's not how the Lord made me, so I can't be no punching bag. Excuse my grammar. My God, today. Free. True freedom is when your peace, watch this, true freedom is when your peace no longer needs public approval. Y'all, I need y'all to hear this. I need you to hear this. I'm getting ready to wrap this up. We're coming up on 20 minutes. You don't need public approval. This doesn't mean you go out and you're just a renegade and you're doing crazy stuff, but you don't need people's approval, okay? And you getting approval from people that's posted on Instagram and they don't have a real life. This is all fake. You get free, okay? But here's the thing, beyond the bias, I had to get beyond it. I had to get all these biases. I went to therapy to find freedom, but what I really found was myself, the version that existed before all these crazy biases, before the performance, before the perfection. And if you've been performing for approval, maybe therapy isn't where you lose yourself. It's where you finally meet yourself. If you watching this and you're like, hey, I've been hesitant, take the leap. Take the leap. I'm telling you, this is your moment. This is the part where you're like, hey, this is the reason why I watched this. Take the leap. Find yourself. Y'all, I promise you, it gets better on the other side. How many people have to go without until you say yes to God? It's not Jesus plus therapy. It's Jesus through therapy. All those biases, all those things you dealing with, it's par for the course. You can't change people. The only thing you can change is yourself. I made a vow to God that I was going to do what God called me to do in the earth. But guess what? I was going to work on me so that I can be better for the others, for the people that I'm around. All right, here we grow again. Like, share, subscribe. I got to get off of this. I hope it's been helpful for somebody. Let me know in the chat how helpful this has been, and share this with somebody who needs to make the jump, who needs to make the leap. I promise y'all, it gets better on the other side. May God bless you. May God keep you. And may God just work through a good therapist in your life. You're a great leader. The only thing you need to do is go to therapy. I'll talk to y'all later.